So this leads us to make a recap and look at something very different this time. So bishop blocks, take with the queen, c4, knight c6, d4. What if our opponent takes? Okay, takes back. We have seen something like this in, a lot of the previous videos. But what we need to see now is e5. This is the novelty. What to do when black plays this pawn structure, the backwards d6 pawn and the e5 pawn. Now here you play knight to c2. You have to remove the knight. Now usually when this happens, I have a tendency of thinking, obviously I end up playing knight c2 most of the time, but sometimes I play knight back to f3. So like, I'm going to keep putting pressure on e5, but that's not ideal. I also like knight b3, but it's bad because I don't really have anywhere to go next. So knight c2 is best because it allows me to go to e3 and then have a chance to develop into the two outposts, d5 or f5. So knight c2 is the best move. Bishop e7, develop, castle, knight f6, the most normal game you can imagine. Queen to d3, protecting these two pawns without having to worry at all. Castle, rook to d1, putting more pressure on the backward pawn. Always play against the d6 pawn in this type of game. Rook a to c8, developing, knight to c3. Rook c7 now is a bad move. White plays h3, this is important to stop ideas like knight g4 and then f5. We don't have the light square bishop anymore, and that's usually an idea. Let's make an example. If black now just plays rook f to c8, here you just play knight b5, you're trapping this rook. The rook can't move anywhere, so that's a bad move. You're going for that plan. What if black plays a6? This is a thematic move. Most players that play this, Sicilian with d6, will play a6 in this type of position. Okay, you play b3, supporting this pawn. It's always good to play b3 in this, as you remember from all the other videos that you've been watching while studying how to master the Moscow opening. Rook f to c8 now seems like it's possible. The rook, piling up the two rooks on the open file. But like, you just play bishop to g6 now, and that's it, because this rook remains trapped. Bishop g5 now, it's unstoppable, because let's say black plays this move or doesn't. Either black plays h6 or not, we take. And then black takes back, but then we play knight here, and the rook is still trapped. So in this position, after b3, instead of rook f to c8, what if black plays the preemptive h6? Okay, now we don't have that plan anymore. Bishop g5 and so on. Okay, we'll play a4. Rook f to c8, is it now possible? Knight e3. And these two knights are both very, very well placed, as you can see. Knight to d4. Getting the knight out of the way, maybe potentially threatening to play b5 and smash on the c file with these two rooks. Okay, knight c d5. Attacking this rook, attacking the bishop, the knight, a lot of pressure over everything. Also threatening this fork. So how is this going to be stopped? You might argue, okay, rook c6 stops everything, but that just allows you to improve the position of your pieces, because now these two rooks can't really move. And white plays bishop b2 now, and you're threatening to win a pawn, crucial pawn here. There's double attack on d4. If the knight goes away to e6, for instance, you play knight f5, double attack on the bishop moves. Well, the knight can't take our knight now, it's too late, because pawn takes back, you have a fork, the pawn attacking the two pieces. If the bishop moves, let's say to f8, keeping an eye on d6, well, now we get rid of this knight, pawn takes back, queen g3 check. And it's not recommendable to block in any way, because you also have an attack here in h6, the pawn will be free. So king h7, for instance, queen h4, targeting this pawn. Knight to g5, that doesn't help. White capitalizes with bishop to c1, and there's a lot of attack over h6. The center is completely closed. White's plan is to simply play queen h5 and then h4. When the knight moves, then you're gonna have all the attack over h6, and this is like a wall of pawns that can never really allow these queen and rooks to protect the king. So back in this position, what happens if black doesn't play rook c6 and just takes our knight? Okay, we take back, and now rook to c6 can happen. Now we only have one knight now. We can't make all of those threats with knight f5. We can't make a threat of taking an f6, breaking the pawn structure. We can't do any of that. So the black player just took one of our knights and kind of calmed down our initiative. Doesn't matter. Bishop e3, double attack on the knight. Okay, knight e6, removing it. Knight to b6. The bishop's guarding that square. We're winning material. Right, last recap, we're going to see something different now. Okay, bishop check, bishop blocks, take with the queen, c4. And now, instead of knight c6, we're going to look at knight f6. Now, as we know here, we have to play knight c3 to defend the pawn. And now black plays e5. So this is the novelty. We haven't seen anything like this before. What's annoying about it, and it's anytime I encounter this type of pawn structure where they make a reverse pyramid, is that you can never really play d4 because they'll just take it for free. There's no counterplay or anything. So you gotta play d3, and it's just this stupid, annoying Marocchi type of game. So now black can go on with knight c6, and this is looking just fine for black. Well, black has the advantage for black here consists of the fact that we can't open this game properly. We have to go for a different plan. But the disadvantage is that this bishop is not going to be very good. So okay, a3 comes now. So when they have this pyramid, reverse pyramid, you want to undermine it with b4. So when the pawns take, then you're going to have the possibility to play d4 later on, and then take. You've got the possibility to open the game. Bishop e7. Okay, rook to b1. To give extra support to the b4 move. So let's make an example. Oh, before we go through castling, which is what we're going to be going through, what happens when black plays a5? I find this really annoying. Because, you know, just like this whole structure, the black player completes his annoying behavior with a5, now stopping b4. What do? Castle, bishop e3, developing. Knight to g4 is not a problem. You play h3, and the knight will have to go back. If the knight takes, you take back. And now, guess what just happened? We have added an attacker over the squares f4, d4. So that's good. Okay, f5. Black tries to develop the rook. f5 is a typical move in this position. Okay, take. Rook takes. Knight to d2. Rook a to f8. Looks like a completely fine game for the black player, but still, rook takes, queen takes. Now the knight goes to e4. He can never really be removed from that square because d5 can never push. Remember, that's the weakness of the reverse pyramid. d5 can never push. White's next move, if it was white to move again, he will play queen b3, attacking this weakness. It's a backward pawn. If rook to b8 to defend, they're kind of the only way to do so. Rook to f1, controlling the open file. Position evaluated almost +2. So it is better, much better for white. But this is kind of the most solid reply by black. It's the most boring game. So that's why I've kept this line for the end. So in this position, black's best move, let's say bishop to h4. The idea is to make a check and win this pawn. If knight takes, we're allowing the infiltration of the queen. That's not really good. Queen to e2 is the best move by white. Obviously to give more protection over this square. And now you realize how wrong it was for the black knight to go to g4 and then take our bishop, because this pawn is actually very important in stopping the knight from doing anything. Actually, the knight doesn't have any access to any real good places. Even if he were to go down, he can never really access f4 or d4. Besides, we have an attack on f6. And even if the black player goes back to e7 to protect d6, knight to d5 will be a very strong move. We're going to get rid of that bishop and then have access to d6. Well, if the queen moves though, queen to e6, defending that bishop. Remember, black can't make any move without compromising his position. a4 doesn't do anything. It will be targeted. Knight b6 will just win that pawn. The knight will also be attacking a8. b6 can't push, you can take it. Here white's plays rook f1 is the best move. Okay, rook takes with check. King takes back. h6 by black because there's nothing else to do. Okay. So here you have an idea of playing queen to d1, king to e1. You just get the king safe, and white has an idea of playing queen h5 here. Check, going to e8. After trading all the pieces, this knight in e4 will be crucially advanced, taking the pawn in d6. So it's a much better position for the white player rather than for black. So in this position, if you remember before, we played rook to b1 and black plays a5 to stop that from to stop b4. So what if black castles instead? How do you take it? Okay, now you push. If you can't push, then just do it. So we're going to go through pawn takes and see this line. We're going to look at these two different setups, and then we're going to close this video. What if black plays h6? Knowing that we want to play knight d5, you know, just stopping bishop to g5 from coming. Okay, castle. And now knight h7. Before we go through knight h7, let's look at this. Rook a to e8. Make an example, right? If our opponent does nothing to stop you from pushing this pawn, then you do it. b5. Attacks the knight. Knight to a5. Rook to e1. Bishop to d8. Giving extra protection to the knight. Allowing the rook to be more on an open fire. Remember, d5 can never happen. Knight h4 comes. g6 is not possible. You're attacking the square h6. Either way, we're going to play knight f5. Again, position evaluated around +2. Meaning that our opponent will have to drop back a couple of pawns if he wants to stop the very strong attack. Here we play knight d5. We have an idea of playing knight to d5. And you don't even have to... I mean, the idea is to swap this knight, of course. You don't even have to worry about when the knight takes you, because you can play queen to g4, attacking here, here, and then you can recapture later on. So let's go back a bit. Earlier we went through rook 88 just to see what the plan was. What happens after knight to h7? Okay. When that knight is gone from f6, just play knight d5. Don't even hesitate. It's important that you play this knight here, either when the opponent knight is not in f6, or when the knight in d5 is protected by your knight. Otherwise, they can take you take back with the pawn, and you lose the outpost d5. f5. What to do now? Okay, b5. This move here comes, attacking the knight. Knight a5. Taking f5 now. We recognize the pattern. We've done something like that before. The rook takes back. Bishop d2, attacking this knight. The knight is trapped, can't go anywhere, so b6 is forced, or maybe bishop to d8, same thing. So let's look at this, b6. Okay, you take, knight to d2. Knight back to f6, so that the whole plan of knight h7, knight g5, it just didn't work. Okay, knight e3. Avoid the trade, because you see, there's no way to defend this knight with another knight. Otherwise, if we could put the knight in e3, that would be amazing. So we're going to have to... Also, trading here doesn't make sense. We're going to have to play knight e3, attacking the rook. Rook to g5. The rook is kind of self-trapped. Knight to e4. Traps the rook again. Rook to g6, maybe? Okay, well, queen to e1. Targeting the weak pawn. Queen to c7. Protecting it. Okay, now take. Bishop takes. Knight to d5. Attacking these two. Queen to d2, saving the queen. Queen to e4 comes now, attacking this rook. King to h7, only move to defend the rook. Only move that makes sense. f4. Pawn cannot take in f4 because knight takes back, exploiting the pin. It's game over. So instead of pawn takes, obviously, what if, like, I don't know, rook to b8, to make an example. It's not what our opponent doesn't have a move. Then we play f5. The rook has to move. Rook g5, h4. The rook has to move, and now g3. We should be able to take this rook little by little. So back in this position, if you remember, we've gone through a little bit of everything. What if black just takes this pawn? Okay, well, take back. And now rook f to e8. Now in this case, we still have this with this pawn structure. Okay, castle. Rook a to c8, and now b5 comes. Now you might argue, okay, what if black plays a6? Does that stop b5? You might say, okay, white can play b5, but then take, move the knight, but at least the rook is on an open file, is no longer weak. Maybe the rook can support the knight, or at least even just activate. Yeah, you still play b5, but now surprisingly, after take, you take back with the rook, and you're putting pressure on this pawn. So you got this plan now. Bishop e3, queen e2, and then bring the other rook to b1 to reinforce the attack over b7. So we're going to attack this weak pawn, and that's what we're going for. What if black just tried to trade a rook? Maybe rook a5 or something. Well, okay, take with the knight. Bishop e3, develop. Rook to a8. h3. Now tell me, what can black move exactly here? There's not much to move. Not that it makes sense, at least. Okay, let's have a look at this plan. Knight h5 with the idea of knight f4. Okay, it doesn't matter, because after this move, as soon as black loses control of the square d5, you're going to go there with the knight. You're also attacking b6. So in this position, what if rook a to c8 instead of the whole a6 move? Okay, b5 comes, knight to a5, rook a1 attacking the knight. There's no way to really defend it. Okay, you might argue, okay, rook, bishop d8, queen c7, they all look like they actually are defending that. But now after, let's say, bishop to d8, you play bishop to g5, and after taking this knight, the bishop will have to take back, and then you lose control of the knight, or maybe black will have to take back, but with the pawn, and it will smash the king side. So that's actually really bad. Let's look here. Instead of that move, what if black defends the knight with the queen? Queen c7. Same thing. Bishop g5, and after taking, you go into d5, and that should be it. So in this position, b6, defending the knight like that. Bishop g5. h6 attacking us, doesn't matter. Take, and now white's best move is a grandmaster move, knight to e1. The idea is to play knight c2, knight e3, knight d5. Both of the knights will be aiming at d5. Okay, bishop goes back to d7, knight c2. Rook f8, trying to maybe go for f5, knight e3. Rook a8. There are literally no other moves. The computer keeps messing around with rooks. There's no way through. Okay, you can argue, okay, what about f5? Well, we got double attack on it now, so that's pointless. Black has double defense, but it's two major pieces. So rook a8, knight c to d5. Much better position for white. Knight b7. Okay, fine. Knight f5. Both attack the bishop. Bishop moves to d8. I mean, you can't really protect the bishop. If you play rook f to e8, you play queen g4. That capitalizes on the game. You got these two weaknesses. And you also have, like, an attack on the loose queen. So if our opponent does something to, I don't know, stop the checkmate, like bishop f6 to stop the checkmate, when you make this check, knight h6, check, there's going to be a discovered attack on the queen. So in this position, what if bishop to d8? Okay, well, queen to g4, again, just does it.